All right, so for the past few weeks, we've been talking about topics related to marketing. So in October, we talked really directly about marketing and advertising. And in November, this last month, we talked about finding your training's uniqueness and using that as a marketing tool to help with your marketing messaging. So this series topics are more about how-tos for your training. So over the past couple weeks, I've had some conversations with some of my clients, and they've had very specific questions about some specific how-tos in their training. And as people start gearing up for their next training session, I wanted to give you some insight into the way I do some of these things in my training, and hopefully the goal is that it will help you in your training as well, at least give you some ideas on how you want to run some of these things. So this series is on how-tos, and the first one in the series is running testing at your yoga teacher training. So the idea is, again, to give you some ideas, give you maybe a starting point, or maybe you're going to use this exactly as I offer them here. It's entirely up to you. So not everyone tests at their yoga teacher training. If you are watching this, or if you are in the group or on my page, you have likely gone through a yoga teacher training yourself. And maybe you tested at the end of training and maybe you did not. So not everyone runs testing at their yoga teacher training. I think that testing is very important, and I run testing in my own local trainings. And there are a few reasons that I run testing and I find that it's important. One is testing is really value. You're providing a value to your trainees. Now, when you say it's test time, they may not feel like you're providing value, but really what you're doing is testing is an opportunity for them to acknowledge that they have learned this skill of teaching yoga classes, right? It's an acknowledgement that they have learned about philosophy of yoga. They have learned about things like pranayama and meditation. All of these things sort of validate what they've been doing over the last few months. Everybody's training runs over a different series of months and days and weeks and weekends, but it helps them validate all of the work that they've been doing over the last several months, right? So I find that it is value for your trainees. It is also value for you that you have done what you have told them you would do. They have spent resources, right? Time, money to take your training. And so the testing really says, okay, in written form, we have learned some of these concepts. It's a 200-hour training, so really is just the beginning. And we are teaching a class. And so we have learned how to sequence and all of those things that go into creating a real yoga class. So it validates all that, it provides value, helps them understand that this was resources well spent. The other thing is testing is a bit of peace of mind. So many studios run training because they need new teachers. They need qualified teachers. They need teachers that they can trust that are going to come in and represent their business, right? Ultimately, teachers are the face of your yoga studio, right? So it's peace of mind that these trainees have done the work, right? They've practiced teaching, they've read what you've asked them to read, they've been to training classes and done all of the work. And you as the trainer and potentially as the person then that might hire them at your studio gives you the peace of mind that they in fact have applied what has gone on at training. It also gives you peace of mind when they earn that certificate. That certificate has your name on it, your school's name on it. If you are the lead trainer and are signing the certificates, that's a reflection on your training, right? How well they go out into the world and use their yoga skills to teach classes. So it's peace of mind for you. This testing business is peace of mind for you that again, they have done the work, they have put in the effort to learn how to teach yoga classes. So those are a couple of really important reasons. You're not going to be able to hire all of your trainees at your studio, very likely. And so as they go out into the world and offer their yoga teaching, you want some peace of mind that they've gone through that rigor and that testing to prove that they've done that. So here's what's included in my training. So as you may know, as part of this this group, I offer a yoga teacher training curriculum to studios. And so part of what's in my materials for testing is a written test based on the materials that are in the books that I offer. That written test has your typical, there are a couple of essay questions, there are some multiple choice, there are some fill in the blank, all of those sort of typical testing format, right? Based on the material in the books. The teaching test then is, I also offer a form that trainers can follow to give trainees feedback as they're testing. In my practicum tests, I require that trainees teach a sun salutation. That is part of what the style that I teach is a flow-based class. And so we practice and learn the sun salutation sequences. And so as part of their test, they're required to teach a sun salutation. They are also required to teach at least one posture from each of the posture groups. So in my materials and in my training that I run locally, we have a set of postures that we cover in great detail. And so they're required to pull a posture from each of those groups and add it to their class. Now, in my trainings, everyone is a little bit different. Everyone has a different idea of how long the class should be that the trainees teach. My classes that I require them to put together are 30 minutes. Right, there are no 30, well, few, little, rarely a 30-minute yoga class, but we've already been working on sequencing a lot in class throughout training. So this teaching really is this teaching test is a function of, if you have a large group, if you have a group of 10 people, right, and everybody has to teach an hour, that's a long time to get through all of that testing in a reasonable amount of time without exhausting your trainees. In my training, they are teaching each other at their test. So Sally will get up in front of the rest of the trainees and teach her 30-minute class. And when she's done, Amy will come up and teach her 30-minute class to the rest of the trainees. And while they are doing that, I am observing them and giving them feedback on their teaching from the back of the room. Try to be very quiet in the back of the room so that I'm not disturbing them as they're teaching. So my materials have a written test and guidance for the trainer around running the practicum test. Those are the things that I find are important. I also give my trainees a copy of the feedback. If I've been furiously writing at the back of the class and giving them feedback, I let them see that feedback so that they can have some guidance. Now, I've been giving them feedback all through training, but this is really a written down, more formal feeling. It's the test, and I feel that I owe it to them to give them some feedback, some real feedback on their teaching. I typically split up the days. For instance, if there are 10 people in a training class, 5 people will go on one day and do their teaching test, and 5 people will go on the second day and do their teaching test. That helps everyone. You know, we draw numbers, we draw names so that everybody knows what order they're going in, and you know, when they're going to be offering their class to their training group. Some people prefer to do the teaching test one-on-one. If you're going to give feedback as they go, or if that feels more comfortable for you, just based on as the trainer, your personal preference, or perhaps the way the training is set up, maybe that makes more sense to you. You're obviously free to do that, but some people do a one-on-one sort of teaching a class to the trainer as their teaching test. Certificates. So then once they've gone through testing, they earn their certificate. Now, I don't give certificates until everything is complete, right? All payments have been made. If you've set up a monthly payment plan, so they have to make all their payments. Of course, they have to have all of their homework in, their non-contact hours if you are a registered school through Yoga Alliance, as well as their contact hours. Now, people get sick during training, something comes up, family emergency, and people sometimes miss some hours. So you have to work with them to make up those hours. And so I need to make sure that they've got everything turned in and that they are complete. And then they get their certificate. Another question someone had for me too was, how do I let Yoga Alliance know that my training is over? Well, actually, you don't. What happens is, as people complete training and you give them their certificate, when they decide they're going to register with Yoga Alliance, they turn that certificate into Yoga Alliance. The certificate typically has the date on it, your name, their name, and so it's incumbent upon the trainee when they register to turn in that certificate. You, as the training school, don't have any requirement to let them know training is over. Many times, if people have something to make up, they haven't made all their payments, something like that, training isn't technically complete, right? So that would be a little challenging to, sort of keep telling Yoga Alliance, okay, now it's over. Okay, wait, somebody else wasn't quite complete. Now it's over. So really that comes when they turn in their certificate, when they register as a yoga teacher with Yoga Alliance. So that is all I have for how-tos today on testing. If you have any questions about how to set up testing, what's included in the materials that I offer, post your questions down below and I will answer those. I'm typically answering those questions in Yoga Trainers Tribe, which is the group. So if you're watching this from Yoga Tree Consulting, go ahead and join the group and get in on the conversation, get your questions answered, and feel free to ask me any questions about testing. I'm happy to answer them. As we move forward in the series, we will be answering questions like how to use journaling in your yoga teacher training, setting up your daily agenda as a trainer in yoga teacher training. So stay tuned. Those will be on the way. And if you have a question that you would like me to address in these Facebook live streams, feel free to post it. Reach out to me, send me a message in Messenger, and I will answer the question on these Facebook Lives. All right. Have a great day. Tune in next time and join us over in Yoga Trainers Tribe. See you next time.